Hey everybody, this is Chuy Plays, and today I am joined by my good friends Kuri and Koramora. Really excited to have them here to discuss all things Nintendo Switch for the 5-year anniversary of the console. So to begin, hello Cora, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I'm tired like everyone else, but how are you doing?
Also good and tired like everyone else. Actually, I'm a weirdo. I'm one of those, like, I'm up type of people. So, but it was definitely a slow start. And then, hi, Kuri. How are you?
Oh, hi. Good. Chewy told me if I didn't wake up early that we wouldn't be friends anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of my thing to really just, like, put people on the spot. Like, show your true loyalty.
I can picture it being in the nicest voice possible. She's like, Curry, if you don't wake up, we're not going to be friends anymore. So please wake up.
He would do. He'd be like,
Okay.
hey, you know that thing we wanted to do together? We're not going to do that if you don't get up for this.
Yeah. So has this ever happened to you? Like, I remember being a kid, I had just gotten Mario Party 2 for the Nintendo 64. I invited my friend over to play it, and we had so much fun. And then at the end of the day, he was like, can I borrow this game? And I was like, no, I just got it. Like, today, this is the first time we played. And he was like, let me borrow it or I won't be your friend anymore.
Wow.
Oh my
Some
God.
friend.
Right?
Totally put me on the spot. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I value our friendship more than this game, so sure.
Jeez.
Yeah, but that friend is valuing the game more than your friendship.
I know. I mean, in hindsight, that happened.
I mean, when
but
you're a kid.
their mom eventually, like later in the day, brought it back because she was like, "What? He can't do that. That's messed up." So yeah, it's all better now. I haven't talked to him in a while.
Wonder
I'm
why.
surprised you still talk to him.
Yeah, it's yeah. So okay. The Nintendo Switch, it's 5 years old. Really excited about that. When did you both get your Nintendo Switch? I was a launch day person. I was just, this is, funny enough, the first console that I've gotten at launch. Usually I've waited a little bit. And it's surprising to me too, because I've always really loved Nintendo consoles, but I just never got them right away. Kuri, did you get it at launch?
Yeah, I definitely got it at launch, like, as soon as I could. I actually wanted the red and blue controller one, but the only ones they had left were the gray controllers, so I was like, well, I'd much rather have a Switch than not have a Switch, just for color aesthetics, and so I got it anyway.
Yeah, funny, I got a gray controller one because I thought I wanted that one more, but then later on I was just like, what mistake have I made? I should have gotten the blue and red one.
Yeah, the colors are so fun.
Yeah. And then, Cora, when did you get your Switch?
I was also a launch day Switch, called out of work and everything. But I had pre-ordered it, so I was waiting for whatever delivery service to deliver it, and I didn't get it till like 3 o'clock that day, and I was so upset. I was like, why did I even call out of work? I should have just gone to work.
Yeah, it would have just, like, been there right when you'd gotten back, right?
Right, yeah.
Well, that's fun. What inspired both of you to get it at launch?
I guess for me, I was finally like old enough to be able to afford a console without my parents buying it for me. Because even like the Wii U was like $600, wasn't it? I don't remember how old I was, but I don't think I was old enough to have $600 just to like throw at a Wii U. So besides Breath of the Wild being launch title, it was just like the first one I could afford myself.
That's a good point. Big purchase for yourself. It's fun.
Yeah, my first one that I purchased on my own was the Wii U, and I like saved up for months after they announced it to make sure I could get it at launch. So, but then Switch, obviously, it's like, I'm an adult, I can buy these right away.
Totally. It's just like having money to finally spend on yourself.
Right.
That's, so what were both of your initial impressions when the Switch came out? Like, I guess, what were your impressions when you first saw it? Like, it got revealed, and then, like, when you first got your hands on it?
When I first got it, I just thought the technology was really cool. Like, I remember that marble moving game. Like, I was just so impressed with like how it felt and the controllers, and there was just like so many games that were really more of just like technology demos that were just really neat, and it was a really great way to sell the Switch, because I'd be like, oh, if my friends came over, I'd be like, try this out, isn't this so realistic, blah blah blah. But I also just love that it's mobile. Like, I was a huge 3DS fan. I brought that thing everywhere with me, and then having like a full console that was mobile, and you could like have it on the TV and then bring it with you on an airplane or just to work or wherever. It was just like really really nice because the setup is so easy. And so the other cool thing that I really loved about it was bringing it to friends or having friends bring their Switch. You didn't need everyone to have a game. Like, you didn't need to bring individual games. You can just bring one console. And as long as someone had a dock, they could stick it in there. So if I go to my friend's house, as long as I have either the digital games or just like a bunch of tiny things in my case that I'm carrying it in anyway, it's like you can plug it in and then have like a huge library to choose from without having to bring individual cartridges or bring an entire console, or, you know, just like lugging that thing around in your car like the Wii U you had to. So
Every time I set up the Wii U, I'm just like, why are there so many pieces?
Yeah.
There's so much.
I was gonna say the same thing. I used to go to like little LAN parties at my friend's house, and I would lug the Wii U around. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the point? Just to play Splatoon for a little bit, like.
Yeah. And there was just like, even beyond like plugging it in and getting all the things, it also had all the Wii stuff. So you had the sensor bar and then the Wiimote controller things with the nunchucks, and I don't know, it just felt like a tangled mess all the time.
The fact that the Switch doesn't have a sensor bar was like my favorite thing ever. When they revealed it, and I was like, oh my god, there's no bar. Thank god. The thing with the huge wire.
Yeah, why is the wire so long?
I don't know. Maybe
like
I don't know.
I get it needs to like reach in front of the TV, but it was like absurdly long. It could reach across the whole room.
I don't think mine ever left the top of my Wii U. Like, it was always just right there.
So yeah, I guess kind of speaking of Cora, what did you think of the Switch when you saw it?
I think I saw it revealed on like was it The Tonight Show or something with like Reggie, and I was like, oh, that looks cool, but I didn't really appreciate it until I played 1-2 Switch, and I felt like all the, I don't know, there's like the box marble game where you have to like guess how many marbles are like in the controller. That I was like, oh dang, this thing is really cool. But then they never did anything else with that, really. Like, the HD Rumble's fun, but I don't know.
Yeah.
1-2 Switch was the only thing that really utilized it well.
Yeah, it didn't seem like something they tried too much with. I think maybe there was like a one-off mini game in Super Mario Party that tried to do a similar thing, but yeah, unfortunately, like, I never got 1-2 Switch, and it never got to experience that marble thing. That's like the one thing that I've wanted to try, and I'm like, I'm not gonna buy a whole game just to do that.
Especially since it's $60, and it's not worth $60, but I wanted something other than Breath of the Wild. But yeah, if you can find it cheap.
Yeah, I wish it was free dollars, honestly.
Yeah,
like, just
I know. It should have just come with
Switch.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe next console they'll be like, yeah, we'll just pack in a game. This doesn't have to be $60. That's a little much.
Right?
Yeah, and my initial impressions for it was like, immediately, like, I understood it. I was like, this is perfect. The way that we can just play it on the TV and then play it not on the TV, that's exactly what I need. Because like you, Kuri, I was a big 3DS fan and have always been like a handheld gaming fan. I think it's like thanks to long road trips to Mexico where all I really had to do was sit in a car and play Game Boy all day, you know? So that to me was just like, finally, this next console, I will be able to, hopefully when they have an Animal Crossing on there, I can play at home comfortably on my TV and then take it with me, because that was always the pain of like the home console Animal Crossings. Whenever you were gone, you just have those days where you can't check in, and now it's fixed. So yeah, immediately I was connected to it. I was just like, yep, this is exactly the type of console that I need in my life. So I think that gets us into a good spot where I can ask you both, like, what are your favorite memories with the Switch?
Favorite memories? I was not prepared for this question. Oh yeah, I was. Yeah, I would say, just the ability to swap it when you're hanging out with friends. Like, I have so many memories of, like, friends coming over, especially, like, during conventions. There was always somebody who brought their dock so we could all play Switch games together. So when we went to, like, PAX South or PAX East or PAX West or, like, TwitchCon, there was always, like, somebody that had the ability to, like, cast it on the TV, and then everyone at a convention has their Switch. Like, that's just a very normal thing. And so we would just, plug it in and play games at the end of the night. Or if we were waiting in a 2-hour line to play something, it's like, oh, we can all just play Switch together and jump on local Mario Kart or do whatever. It was just, like, really easy and fun to spend time with other people while also, like, having something to do that's easy and not have to, like, entertain anybody, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, totally. I definitely remember the days when conventions were a thing, and I never got to go to one with the Switch, but I know I would have loved that in those long lines for
Plus, just
panels
traveling
and stuff.
to them is so good, because it's like on airplanes, and I fly a lot, so airplanes are like the perfect Switch spot because they're small enough to fit on that little, like, table in front of you. And it just works out. And then you can, like, have your hands on your lap with the controller, so it's not like you have to have the controller plugged in and, like, right in front of you. So just very well designed.
Mm-hmm. And there's no sensor bar that you have to plug into it to
Yeah.
do all this
Imagine
stuff.
setting that up.
That would be a pain.
I've actually
God.
seen somebody set up their Wii U in the airport once. They had, like, it plugged into their laptop or something. But they just, like, had the Wii U and the sensor bar on the chair. That just, like, unlocked a memory that I completely forgot about. And I was like, that is really dedicated.
Whoever that is probably pumped that the Switch exists now.
Oh my god, yeah.
Don't have to set up your
Yeah.
entire Wii U in the airport.
And that basically all the Wii U games are on Switch. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what happens
Except
when you
for
have
a few.
failed console, I guess. Just push everything to the next one.
Are there any Wii U games that are not on Switch that you want yet?
I would like Splatoon 1 just to be ported to the Switch for no reason. Splatoon 2 is basically the same thing, but otherwise, not really.
And then all of the Splatoons would be on Switch.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Every single one.
They just need to make a Splatoon party, like the Mario Party style, but it's just all of them
But it's
in
just
one.
Splatoon. That would be great.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, I'm like, where's Amiibo Festival for Switch?
Aw.
I think you're the
No.
only one asking for Amiibo Festival.
Listen, I think if it had some online, it would just be like a pretty chill mode to hang out with people on, I don't know, on stream. Or
I think the
just
biggest
whatever.
downfall of that game is having to use the Amiibo every single turn.
Right?
It was like, pass the giant controller, stick the Amiibo on it. All right, now it's your turn. Pass everything over. If they could just, like, have you pick your character from the get-go and not have to use the Amiibo every time, I think it would be a much better game.
And add some mini games in between too.
Oh, yeah.
The lack of mini games just feels pointless.
Yeah, I still, to this day, think that a party Animal Crossing game would be... It's a good idea. Fundamentally, I think it's a good idea, but their execution was just so poor.
I think they were just trying to, like, find a way to sell amiibos. They're like, we have all these amiibos for this game that you use, like, one time. What else can we do with them? Let's make this game.
They admitted that in an interview.
Did they?
Yeah, they actually said, like, we just wanted to make Animal Crossing amiibo, so here you go. You know,
That's amazing.
Aya Kyogoku said that, the director of Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Love it.
Cora, did you have any favorite memories with the Switch?
I mean, I'm making a memory right now. If it wasn't for the Switch,
Aw.
my life like lives around this thing now. It's my work. It's like what I do after work, quote unquote. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't have, there's so many cool people I would have met. I remember one time when the Switch first came out, I was going through TSA and I just had like a plain like Switch case and I like put it in the bin and was sending it through and the TSA agent's like, how many hours you got on Breath of the Wild? I was like, 100. He's like, I got 150. I'm like, cool.
Yeah, same. You know what? That same thing happened to me. I think I went through the security and they're like, oh, cool, you got a Switch. What you been playing on there? It was just like this moment where the world felt like connected, like the video game world in some way, where it's like, oh, here's something in the wild to indicate to somebody like you play Nintendo games.
Right.
And yeah, it was really fun to see people just like excited about it. And kind of going back, my favorite memory is also like taking it everywhere, all over the place. But there was like this point at the very beginning, made a trip back home, got to see Sergio, who is my co-host for Haken, and we hung out with a bunch of friends in a Starbucks like late one night. And it was basically like Sergio has this really cool setup. It's all just like fits in a backpack, but he's got a portable TV with this power source and just plugs in the Switch, and people could play on a huge screen, I guess huge compared to what the Switch is, you know, but just in public. And I was like, this is the coolest thing. Like, I don't care what people say about Karen at the party bringing out her Switch. Like, I would hang out with Karen, you know.
That's such an impressive thing to bring everywhere, too. Like, the Switch already has a screen, but, like, took it to the next level. I love it.
Yeah, and it just fits in a backpack. It's the perfect way to just hang out with somebody really quickly without having to, I don't know, lug around anything any bigger than that.
Right, like the Wii U.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, it was fun, Wii U, but we got something a little better now.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, and I guess kind of speaking about things getting a little better, what are some things that you wish were better about the Switch?
The biggest thing is it's so laggy, right? Like, you play Animal Crossing, you go to a cottagecore or cluttercore island, and everything just, like, pops in. Or even on your own island, if you have too much stuff, it just lags. And then, in another instance, there's this incredible game called Dragon Quest Builders 2, where you build the entire map out, and it just gets so laggy the more stuff you put down. And it's really disappointing, because, like, I was building a mansion in Dragon Quest Builders 2, and my friend and I got halfway done with it, and all of a sudden the frame rate just drops really poorly, and like it's hard to get anything done when the game starts lagging so bad. So I don't have the OLED. I don't know if that's resolved any issues like that, but I think if they can just like keep improving on, you know, like how it's running, I think that would be ideal. Like Switch 2.0, well, I guess OLED is Switch 3.0 is just like strong, you know.
Where's the Switch Pro we've been hearing about for like 4 years now? I want that thing to come out with a better processor.
Yeah, I agree, Kuri. Like, I just want it to be stronger. And it's funny because, like, I don't think I had as much of an issue with it until Animal Crossing, funny enough. Like, just the fact that we are so free to put as many things on our island as we want, it just makes it so easy to see, like, oh, we shouldn't do that. That does not run well if you do that. And so, yeah, I want something stronger, something that can do a lot more. And I think people are also seeing that real difference when they're playing like the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles. Like, they're just so much stronger, and you start to tell, like, oh, Nintendo does a good job of making their games run on what they've made, you know, but at times I just feel like it's holding them back in some of the things that they can do.
Yeah, I agree completely. Like, their consoles are good for most of their first party games. Usually I would say all of them, but Animal Crossing is such the exception to it running well on this game or on this console. Because like I expect third party games to be whatever, like I don't know, Doom and stuff. Like I don't expect them to run the best. It's a handheld console that you can take with you anywhere, but when their first party games start having a hard time, then it's like, okay, well now what are you gonna do? Like now it's not just a porting issue or anything. It's your own stuff.
Yeah, definitely. It's like once you start hitting those problems that other people are hitting, then it's probably time to upgrade the console a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I guess, the big hardware issue that people have had from the beginning of the console is Joy-Con, right? Have you either of you experienced Joy-Con drift? I imagine you have.
I cannot use my Joy-Cons at all anymore. I have to have like a controller. They're so bad.
Which ones do you have? Are they like launch Joy-Con?
Yeah,
Are
they're
newer
launch.
pairs? Okay.
Are they the gray ones?
Yeah, the gray ones. But I technically also have the Animal Crossing Switch, but I don't want to use those Joy-Cons because they're so pretty. That's like so stupid, but it's like you bought it, why don't you use it? But it's just like the aesthetics of the other ones are so beautiful, I don't want to ruin them. So I just like have a little Animal Crossing like third-party controller.
And you can't find replacements for the Animal Crossing Joy-Cons. You'd have to like import them from Japan. Like they don't sell them separately.
Or you can do what I embarrassingly did and buy another Animal Crossing console.
Oh my gosh, how many do you have?
I have 3 consoles total in my place. 2, I guess, are mine. The other is my partner's. She got the launch one after I upgraded to the Animal Crossing one. And then I was like, I probably need a second Animal Crossing island. Might as well get another Animal Crossing Switch. And then when these Joy-Con inevitably die, I can send them in and use the nice fresh pair while they get repaired.
It's not a bad idea. You just have extra consoles now.
Yeah. An extra island, extra consoles. I don't use it too much, but I am happy that I have it.
The nice thing is those consoles are so small. Like the Switch is just small in general compared to like an Xbox or a PS4 or whatever. So it's not like it takes up a ton of space, and it's not like the old days where you had like these huge bricks sitting on your TV stand. It's just very sleek and in the corner or whatever.
That's true. You can just like throw it in a drawer and it's hidden forever. Can't throw it.
You can line them up front to front like like books on a shelf, and you wouldn't even notice them. So.
Oh my god, just a bookshelf of Switches.
Yeah, I mean the PS5 is like the size of a bookshelf, right?
It is. It's huge. I go to my brother's house. I'm like, why? This is like the size of your TV right now. But their consoles run games, so.
That's true. They run games very well. I had like 2 pairs of Joy-Con early on. I actually got them customized with like see-through shells because I love that, like the old Game Boy colors that were all see-through and the N64 controllers that were all see-through.
Yeah.
So I have like a red pair and a blue pair, and honestly, they have too much drift to even work, but they were also launch Joy-Con as well. So yeah, the ones I currently have been working well so far. Like Animal Crossing ones on my original Animal Crossing console still working okay. Hopefully they continue to do that. I got some Splatoon ones, and those, I honestly don't use them too much, so they still work pretty well. And then just the backup Animal Crossing ones for when these inevitably die.
Yeah, I personally haven't had a drift issue, but my mom has, and I have gone and opened up her controllers like 3 times to just put like a new joystick in it. But thankfully, I haven't had it too bad. The thing I have had happen is the locking mechanism to keep it on the Switch. It's made of plastic, and it like wore down over time. So that I had to replace. And I sent one in for them to replace it. But then I didn't want to like be out of... Oh, I think it was my Animal Crossing ones. and I didn't want to send them in because they don't guarantee that you're going to get the same ones back. So I was afraid I was going to lose my Animal Crossing Joy-Con, so I just fixed it myself, and it has like a nice metal piece in there now that won't deteriorate over time.
That's pretty good. You're gonna have to send me that, because my Animal Crossing one, the left one specifically, like, does not stay.
Yeah,
as
that
well
was
as it
my
did
left
used
one
to.
too. Yeah, I'll send you the
Yeah.
link.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, I mean, we've mentioned several games that we were excited about when it launched. Of course, we all play Animal Crossing. What are your top 5 games on Switch? And I'm sure we'll have a lot of similarities here.
Obviously, Animal Crossing. I think
You
everyone
play Animal Crossing? What? I had no idea.
You get
Wow.
to like feed animals or something
Whoa.
and become friends. It's kind of like
Sounds
Harvest
great.
Moon.
Why has nobody thought of this before?
Breath of the Wild, I think. Chuy, I know that was probably one of yours as well. But
Yeah.
it's just an incredible game, an incredible change. I'm a huge Zelda fan. Like, I've been playing Zelda since I was like tiny child. And Zelda just like completely was a literal game changer. It was the equivalent of how Ocarina of Time was, where it was like so open and so different, and the story was incredible. The fact that there's no straight line of where to walk or what to do in Zelda Breath of the Wild was like so incredible and such a significant change that I feel like it's really hard to go back. Just like Ocarina of Time, you had this beautiful 3D space. It's so hard to go back to a 2D space, like, as a mainstay. Obviously, they've created a couple other games, like A Link Between Worlds and the recreation of Link's Awakening, but those were more for, like, the hard fans of, like, the old games, not necessarily something that new people would pick up right away. But yeah, Breath of the Wild was incredible. One game I love and I never hear anybody talk about, Dragon Quest Builders 2, I mentioned it earlier, is so good. And it's funny because I originally saw the aesthetics and I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z. I'm not really into that too much. But the game was so different. The music was incredible. Like, the gameplay was fun. It had like a nice story to follow along with. And then when you beat the game, you unlocked an entire island to decorate, essentially, and create the landscape. It was like Animal Crossing before Animal Crossing, but in cubes instead. And then you had so much precision and like different tools to use to make building just like incredibly fun. So the most amazing part about this game was the NPCs were interactive with what you would build. So depending on if you had two walls, like walls that were too high, and a roof, it didn't even need a roof over it, but if you had like different individual kitchen sets or like a table, let's say you had like a fire and then a chest and then something to cook on, it would mark it as a kitchen. If you put a table and a chair in there in that same room, it would mark it as a dining kit, like a kitchen diner. And so what would happen is all the NPCs would like go into that space and they would start cooking and like all this other stuff. And like for the bedrooms, you could give individual bedrooms to certain characters. It was just like so well designed in such an incredibly different way. And I kind of wish Animal Crossing like had something like that, but but yeah,
Sounds
definitely
great.
underrated game. The only problem with it is when you start getting into like the nitty-gritty of like building everything and like building out farms or building out whatever, it definitely gets laggy on the Switch, which is really, really unfortunate. And then Pokemon Legends Arceus just came out. That game was a huge game changer as well. I think there's a theme with what I'm going for, but I've owned so many Pokemon games and I've never finished like half of them. I get like halfway through or more than halfway through, I get to the very end and I just like don't finish it because I'm like, at that point it's grinded out. But Pokemon Legends Arceus like put a nice spin on it, and I'm not finished with the game yet, but I really am enjoying it. And then the last would be Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. That game is super fun. It reminds me of like old school Harvest Moon Whereas the Harvest Moon series, as it is now, is just kind of like falling off flavor for me because the quality is just not what I feel like it could be. And I guess honorable mention, Billion Road. It's a party game, and I highly recommend it. But
What is it? Billion Road?
Billion Road, yeah. Have you ever played Dokapon Kingdom for Wii or for the Wii?
No.
It's basically like a Mario Party that is more aggressive because you have to like beat your friends by making the most money and like taking over towns. And you're like, so you have like the map of Tokyo, or not of Tokyo, of Japan. You have like this huge map of Japan, and basically all the different towns, you can invest in properties in those towns, and then you try to like win. But then you also get like chaotic characters that will like be like, you get Debt Boy if you came in last place in a certain round for the fiscal year, and then he'll like be like, Chuy's really hounding me for rent this month, and he'll take your money and give it to Chuy or something, and it's just like really chaotic and fun.
Love it. All of these are. I have Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, but I have not even like clicked on it to play yet. I just knew I wanted that one like right from the get-go.
So good.
I've heard you talk about Dragon Quest Builders 2 before, and I'm like, yes, I need to play this at some point. And now Billion Road, writing that down. I love your suggestions. Cora, what are your top 5 games on Switch?
Obviously, Animal Crossing, of course. Otherwise, Splatoon 2. I have over 2,000 hours on Splatoon 2. And then Stardew Valley, which I tried playing Story Seasons, Pioneers, all over, but I was just like, I'm just gonna play Stardew Valley instead. Like, they had like a free weekend, and while I was doing it, I was like, this is just making me want to play Stardew. So then I just went back and played more Stardew. Monster Hunter Rise, actually, I have over 100 hours in. And then Breath of the Wild, too, obviously. It's got like 200 hours. And honorable mention for my side is Ring Fit is actually getting close to 100 hours, which I guess is a good thing. But I didn't expect that one to be up there.
Yeah, that's a really good mix of them, for sure. Yeah, I love Stardew Valley, and honestly, it's been a long time since I've checked in, and there've been like several updates now, so I'm just like, you know what? I'm ready to put another however many hours into this, because it definitely just sucks you in, and you just keep playing just one more day.
It does, yeah. Just one more day, and then like 3 hours later, it's 4 a.m. You're like, okay, just one more day. Yeah, they added
turnips will grow tomorrow.
Yeah. They added like a whole 1.5 update that added a bunch of stuff. So you should go back and play.
Yeah, I need to. My list, 4 of them are all ones that you've mentioned. I feel like the obvious ones for me, Animal Crossing, always gotta have an Animal Crossing. Breath of the Wild, of course, and then Splatoon 2, I share with you, Cora. I don't have quite as many hours, but I am over 1,000. I think I'm probably 1,500 or so. It's only second to Animal Crossing as far as playtime goes for me. Pokemon Legends Arceus, also new game, just came out, but like you, Kuri, I agree, like it's just such a game changer. This is the first time in years that I've been like, wow, Pokemon is so much fun. I feel like the recent games, I'm just like, cool, I made it through the story and I'm bored now, gonna go back to having fun. But this one, I've finished like the main story, and I'm just like still going in and catching them all, so they nailed it with it. My last game on here that you both haven't mentioned, Warioware Get It Together. I have always been a huge Warioware fan. The art style is really wacky and strange, and the games are just quick, like even shorter than mini games or micro games. It took a lot of my time last year once it came out. Every week it has like new challenges after you beat the game, so you're just trying to be at the top of the leaderboards the whole time. I can't say enough good things about WarioWare. I loved it. And I guess an honorable mention, I'll just put it out there that I was very torn between WarioWare and or Mario Party Superstars, the recent one.
Yeah.
That's like a big callback to all the old Mario Party games on the N64. That was like my era of Mario Party, so I can't help but love that one.
It's so much better than the other Mario Party that came out on the Switch too. I feel like everyone just forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, that one doesn't exist anymore.
No.
I don't think. Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it had some good aspects, but yeah, this one just like improves everything that one had. So yeah, might as well just get the superstars, not super. Get the one with the stars in it.
The superstars.
They didn't make it easy for people to recognize the difference.
No.
They have a tendency to do that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wii U, 3DS,
New
3DS,
DSi,
2DS.
DSi Lite. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get there. So I guess from here, I want to ask you all about your favorite indies as well, because I don't know, my games definitely leaned heavily on the Nintendo side for the favorite Switch game, so I wanted to throw in some different ones in there.
Unpacking on here, but it's like a short game, but it's really fun. It's really fun to just like chill and end your night with.
Yeah, that one's solid. I got to play it, and yeah, it was just a nice little story.
These are all on the Switch, but some of them I know are like obviously not exclusive. But so one that I think Chuy and I have talked about a lot is Cozy Grove.
Oh yeah,
We both
love Cozy Grove.
Loved Cozy Grove. It was so relaxing and so good. I love that game gives you bite-sized days. Like, you can only do so much in a day, so it's like you pick it up for an hour, you play it either in the morning when you're drinking coffee or before you go to bed, and then it's just like, it's nice. And it has like a nice story. It's very cute. And then Littlewood is one that Chuy and I also have talked about. Is I actually kickstarted that game and I love it. It's so cute. Yeah. And
I got my entire mod team to just like lose their life for a week because of Littlewood.
Yeah, honestly, Littlewood also took over like a good month of my life when I was playing it, because it's like it gives you a lot of like Stardew Valley vibes, but also what I like about it is like it's not as stressful because there's not like a timer clock. It's more like a stamina clock, and there's a lot of actions that you could take that didn't use stamina. So I was like, cool, I can run around for the day, figure out what I want to do, and then do it. Whereas like Stardew Valley, I feel like I pause at the beginning of each day and go like, okay, what do I have to get done before this timer starts, you know? So I like that aspect of it.
Yeah, it was super good. Plus, like, all the characters just had such good personalities. Like, everybody was very distinct and memorable. So it's just, like, between, like, the gameplay itself and then the character development, it was just fun. Garden Story, I remember Chuy and I playing that a bunch, like, when it first came out. It was really, really fun. Definitely not what I was expecting when I first saw it. It can get pretty challenging, so if you like boss fights and stuff, there's quite a few of those in there, but it's very, very good. Stardew, if you know, I still consider that an indie game because that's how it started, so in my head it's just like canon that Stardew is an indie game. And then another game I like a lot is called Nine Parchments, and basically, like, I usually play it as a multiplayer game, but there's just a lot of branches on like to do and a lot of like ways to play that game, which is really cool. And then there was one game that I played and it was called Y2K Postmodern RPG, and it was so weird. It was like a very weird game, kind of like it definitely catered to kids like born in the 90s or late 80s. So there was like a lot of references to that, which I was like, okay, I get it. Like, you're being a hipster, you know, whatever. But the story was so bizarre, and like the battle system and everything. It was just like a very strange game. And I thought I didn't like it, but I ended up dumping like hours into it, and I think I did like it. It's just very like, I don't know how to explain it. So I liked the game. I decided that I like the game. I think it can be a little pushy with like being like hipstery, like trying to be hipstery, and I think that's what bothered me about it. But the gameplay itself is very enjoyable in a very strange way. I really don't know how to explain this game, but it's good.
Yeah, I shared a lot with you on that list. Definitely Littlewood, definitely Garden Story, and Cozy Grove too. Cozy Grove, like, once you get further into that game too, I feel like you can play hours upon hours each day, because it really starts to stack up, like, all the things you can do. Garden Story is just like, I've gotten to write an article for it for Patch Magazine, but I'll probably make a video as well. But like, it's got such a good like environmental message and explores those concepts in a really cool way. So yeah, definitely one I recommend. The other two that I wanted to call out were Bug Fables and Wingspan. So Bug Fables is just like, I tell everybody it's the best Paper Mario game on Switch. And then the first Paper Mario came out, but I think it might even still be better than that one. So if you like Paper Mario and what that series was in the past, then Bug Fables is definitely one to check out. And then Wingspan is just a digital version of a board game. Like, it was a physical board game, and then they made a digital version. Works really well, and it's basically a board game about bird watching. You try to create, I guess, what do you call it? Kind of an aviary or nature reserve that attracts a lot of birds, and so it's a really deep game mechanically. It's ultimately a deck building game, or no, not a deck building game. It's I can't think of the word for it. An engine building game. That's the one. Where you're just trying to make each turn get as many points as possible for you, and those things can be like, have your birds lay lots of eggs, and then that's a lot of points. So yeah, those are all of my favorites, I'd say. What about you, Cora?
Baba Is You. I don't know if you guys have ever played that, but it's really fun. It gets your brain going. There's only like a couple of them I've had to like actually look up and be like, okay, how the heck do you solve this one? Because you're like sitting on a stage for an hour, and it's fun. It's like a cool mechanic where it messes with the entire screen. You have to like move the level around sometimes instead of just your guy, and it's pretty cool to play. Yeah, and then unpacking, and then I have a bunch of like Animal Crossing ones, like Cozy Grove. I also have Kataria Fables, which is it's kind of like Stardew-y, Animal Crossing-y, where you have like animals you talk to and like farming, but then there's also like a huge combat mechanic to it, which is kind of fun. And then Yonder, which is like completely open world, explore, resource gathering. That one's really fun too. But I definitely have a lack of like indie games on here. It's a lot of first party Nintendo games. And then things like Skyrim and stuff.
Which are all very fun as well.
They are.
Yeah, I love both of those. Yonder, definitely a really cute one to dig into. And then Kataria Fables too. That one's great. So I guess I got one more question for you all to end it off here, but it is about the future. Do you hope Nintendo's next console is like the Switch, or do you want them to do something different? What do you think, Kuri?
I really don't think they should ever change having some sort of mobile style game console. You know, when we had the Wii U and the Wii, we also had, you know, the 3D. I mean, since the beginning of Nintendo, really, there's always been a mobile option, and they've excelled at that, like with the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, like DS's. If they went to, you know, the Xbox/PS4 route, it would just be a huge disappointment, because it's like, Nintendo has always been my mobile console. Like, I don't think they should change that about them, because that's something that makes, besides the Nintendo exclusives, that's what makes Nintendo really unique, is they always have some sort of way to like carry your games with you and like bring them with you. So if they did move away from the Switch style of a mobile console, I think they would also need to create some sort of mobile gaming in addition to it, or just keep the format and just keep improving on it. But knowing Nintendo, they go so different every time. Like, there's a drastic company. There's that meme of like the pictures of the controllers of all the different consoles. It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's like PlayStation, or like small improvements is the Xbox, and then the Nintendo just has like a wide range of controllers itself. Their consoles are the same way. So I think Nintendo will do something very different, but at the same time, I also just think like the Switch has become such a perfect type of console for me as like an adult who travels a lot. I would be very sad not to have something to travel with. I would just probably keep playing my Switch.
Same. I need that hybrid console to be the thing. And I'm hoping it goes like the other way, and other companies are like, yeah, let's do both. And to some extent, I'm like, oh, cool, we've got the Steam Deck coming out now, and that's just like the Switch concept, where it's like, yeah, you can get this really powerful mobile PC where you can play all your Steam games, either on the go, or I think there's going to be a docking station for it too, so you can play on a TV. So yeah, I am all about that. I'm like, if you made a mobile Xbox that had all the Game Pass stuff available on there,
oh, could you imagine?
I would buy that in a heartbeat.
I would actually buy an Xbox. Yeah.
What do you think, Cora?
I completely agree. I think they need to keep some sort of handheld device, because that, besides the Wii, that's what's been successful for them. It's like the whole DS family that went on for like 10 years and everything sold amazing, and now the Switch. I think that's what separates them, is that mobile aspect, because I hate that people were always comparing the Wii U to like the PS4. And it's like, you can't compare those two things. Like, they're completely different. And so I feel like if they stay handheld, that's kind of where they thrive. But what else can you do handheld? Besides, like, I feel like the Switch is just the ultimate. Like, I think they did it. Where else do you go from the Switch? And they always do something cool. Like the Wii controller was just above and beyond, and even like the Joy-Cons are really cool. So I don't know. I don't know where else they could go. I don't know what's up from the Switch besides a better Switch.
Yeah, just exactly. I can't imagine anything that they could do very differently. I had this little joke on Nintendo Noise where I kind of just mentioned like the really out of left field thing that Nintendo could do is like make a completely new handheld only console that's like the next 3D whatever is the next 3DS, because it's like, why would they do that? And I'm like, I don't know, they're just gonna do it.
Yeah, I could see that happening. If they want to go like console, I could totally see them doing like something crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know. They're so creative, though. I don't know. I can't get into their brain. I can't predict them.
Yeah, there's people in there just working all the time about like, okay, what do we want to make possible with our games? And that's the thing that I think is the reason that Nintendo is always so different with their stuff. It's just like they think of game ideas, and I think they build their consoles around those ideas. So it just feels like it just caters to what they're making, So, yeah, I guess it'll just depend on what they're making, I think. But I hope they're making stuff that is Switch-like, because I've been having so much fun with it. Awesome. Well, thank you both for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I guess I didn't have you both do intros. That was a mistake of mine. Cora, can you tell people who you are, where they can find you?
I am Cora, aka Cora Mora. You can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/CoraMora, Twitch, same thing. Twitter, same thing. All of it, same thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you got all the same thing.
Yeah, the only one I didn't get was Instagram. I had to add a 1 to the end, and I was upset about it.
Because you're number 1, though. So
exactly.
Kuri, where can everybody find you? And yeah.
I'm Kuri. You can also call me Kuri. But I'm pretty much the same boat as Cora, where I'm on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch. Kuri, Kurii. There's 2 I's, and yeah, I do a lot of stuff all over the place.
Yes, and you both make incredible things. I'm so happy to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to this discussion about the Switch 5-year anniversary. Please let us know down in the comments what your favorite memories are, your top 5 games, any indies you like, just any topic that we covered here today. Go ahead and give us your input. We'd love to hear it.
Tell us your indies. We want to know more.
And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and go check out Kuri and Koromora, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.